Good morning. I'd like to bring the August 21st, 2024 Planning Advisory Commission meeting to order. The official start of this meeting is 9 a.m. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could please silence or turn off your cell phones, thank you. I remind those in the audience and those watching on TV that this is the first hearing of any rezoning, text change, or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of a staff report for the case by planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of that request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about said request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case. Once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendations. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with 2 independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of the letter stating the denial and to notify clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the city council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting called the first reading. Said council shall consider the case, review Planning Advisory Commission and Planning Department recommendations, and hear discussions on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public meeting called the second reading. All right. I guess we don't have any minutes to approve, do we? All right. Guess we go straight into it. All right. That brings us to our first case of the day, REZN 07241562.
Yeah, we do have minutes.
Oh, we got minutes. I'm sorry. Our first agenda today is to approve the minutes from a previous meeting. Does anyone have any comments or corrections regarding the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the July 17th.
All right, get a second. All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you. That brings us to our first case today again, to REZN 07241562, request to rezone 2.06 acres of land located at 5710 Warm Springs Road. Current zoning is neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning is general commercial. The proposed use is commercial tenant space. Jeff Coat Real Estate Services is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 6. Can we please hear from staff?
Good morning. This is a 2.06 acre property at 5710 Warm Springs Road. The applicant is requesting to rezone to GC from NC, and they are proposing an approximately 18,000 square foot commercial multi-tenant space that would be 5 units for a variety of commercial, retail, or office use. They aren't sure what those are yet. These will be built as shell buildings. One call was received from the property owner to the north on Georgian Way, and he was concerned about the tree buffer between this proposed development and his property, and the applicant and the owner have spoken to him, and they will keep that tree buffer in place, which would also meet our UDO requirement. And that would be a Category C buffer, which is exactly what that area is. There's GC to the east and west and NC to the south, and this is compatible with the existing land uses.
Any questions from commissioners concerning the staff report? All right, will the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us a brief overview of your said request?
Good morning. My name is Doug Jeffcoat with Jeffcoat Real Estate Services. I appreciate the time this commission takes to serve our community, because I know you had a choice and you didn't have to be here this morning. I'm glad to be on the front end of what I hope is going to be boring for my part, because it looks like y'all have some opportunities ahead of you today. As Morgan just reported to you, we are attempting to rezone 2.06 acres along Warm Springs Road. It's in an area that's surrounded by general commercial. This particular property is zoned neighborhood commercial. We would like the flexibility primarily to be able to put a larger tenant onto the property, and neighborhood commercial limits us to 5,000 square feet as far as a single tenant size. So we are asking to rezone to general commercial to give us more flexibility and latitude with potential to build a spec building on that location. We did have a chance, we being me and Ben Billings, who is the representative of the family that owns this property. We met with the neighbor to the north, Mr. Jackson, and agreed that as a condition of rezoning, we would accept the buffer type C, which is the 30-foot undisturbed buffer. And we met him on site and talked about that and feel like we have come to an agreement with him there. In a meeting with the Homeowners Association Board several weeks ago, we also said that we would agree to no gas pumps on the location so that the concern about a convenience store going right beside another convenience store is dealt with at that as a condition of rezoning. So be glad to answer any questions if y'all have any questions for me.
Any questions from commissioners for the applicant? Does anybody in the audience like to speak for this request? Does anybody in this audience like to speak against this request? Sir, would you like to speak against it?
Yes, sir.
All right, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is LaBritt Jackson. I live at 6547 Georgian Way. My property is adjacent to the proposed development. We have been in discussion with Mr. Jeffco. And our main concern is this. We have a beautiful tree buffer between the development and our property. Provides great shade in the backyard. The only thing that we request, when you do your development, take in consideration the enjoyment that we have in our backyard. And we would like for the developer to please consider liquor stores, gas station is already in that area, plentiful. We just request, when you do your development, take into consideration the homeowners, our investment in that area. When you do your development, we have no problem with rezoning that area. Mr. Billings have an investment, and we would like for him to recoup his investment. But during your development, take into consideration our investment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, could you come back to the podium? We got a question for you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, you're saying this is to the back of your neighborhood, what they're building, is what you're saying?
Yes, our property is adjacent to the area that they are developing.
Okay.
There is a 40 or 45-foot beautiful tree buffer in that area. And the only thing that we are requesting, that you give consideration to that development. When you put that development in there, please leave the shaded covering our backyard. That's all we want. Okay? There's that tree buffer. It's in there. I have spoken with Mr. Jeffco, and he has agreed that he will leave a 30-foot buffer there. And that's fine. And as long as you have the tall trees that cover in that backyard, it's fine. You can take down the small ones, but the ones that is providing shade to the backyard, please take into consideration how we will be affected. Our property is facing west. Sun sets in the west. We would not be able to enjoy our barbecue when we have the sun beating down on our backyard. So that's the only thing that we are requesting. And Mr. Jeffco has agreed to leave that as it is, which is fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience like to speak against this request? All right, would a commissioner like to make a motion? Yes, Mr. King.
I'll be glad to. Case REZN 07-24-1562 is a request to rezone 2.06 acres of land located at 5710 Warm Springs Road. I make a motion that we approve this request based on the fact that it's compatible with existing land uses, and we leave the buffer as is for the 30 feet under the Category C designation, and there's no gasoline to be sold on the property.
All right, can I get a second? Yes, Ms. Thomas. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jeffcoat.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our second case of the day, REZN 07241566, a request to rezone 3.26 acres of land located at 7607 Chatsworth Road. Current zoning is residential estates. Proposed zoning is light manufacturing industrial. The proposed use is an auto repair facility. Thompson BZ Holdings is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 6. Could we please hear from staff?
This 3.26 acre property is zoned RE1 right now, and the applicant is requesting LMI for an auto truck repair facility. This property is surrounded by industrial zoning with LMI to the south and west and HMI to the east, so this would be compatible with existing land uses. There were no concerns from the engineering department, and there were no calls received regarding this request.
All right, any commissioners have any questions for the staff? All righty. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us a brief overview of your request? Is there anyone here from Thompson BIZ LLC? All right, I guess we'll move on from that one then.
Morgan, do we need to act on this as far as a table?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion we table this case, REZN 07-24-1566, to the next meeting.
Wait a second, all right. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. King. Brings us to our third case of the day, REZN 0823-0146, a request to rezone 14.80 acres of land located at 3160 Primrose Road. Current zoning is planned unit development PUD. Proposed zoning is residential office. Proposed use is a residential multifamily townhomes. Euron Wright is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 1. Could we hear from staff?
This request to rezone this 14.8 acre property was heard by the Planning Advisory Commission at the last meeting, and it was voted on and approved. However, after the meeting, we had 30 of the 33 letters that were sent out were returned, and all of those addresses were valid, so we actually don't know why they were returned. But the city attorney advised that we should re-notify and rehear it to give people the opportunity to speak if they want to. And I can do the staff report again if you need to hear it. Oh,
Let's commissioners do.
there's nothing changed from the last meeting.
All right. All right, is there any questions for staff before we get started? Okay, would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us a brief overview of your request?
Good morning. My name is Euron Wright. I live at 4076 Harris Road in Ellerslie, Georgia. This development that we're doing on Primrose Road is 14.80 acres. We previously had it at 280 units with 45 townhouses. We reduced it to 180 units of townhouses. We also completed a traffic study and had everything sent in to the city.
So have you got any renderings of your plans or any?
I do have some here.
You can hand them to Morgan if you want to, or John can put them up on the screen. Yes, Mr. King?
Mr. Wright, will you be building these units yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm also a licensed general contractor.
Any other questions for the applicant, commissioners? Yes, Ms. Thomas?
How are you doing? Are these some of the ones that you have already built?
Yes, ma'am.
You have? Thank
Thank you.
Any other questions? Would the commissioner like to make a motion? Oh, yeah, is anybody out there for this request? Is anybody out there against this request? Yes, ma'am, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
I'm Mary Albrecht. I am a realtor and a homeowner in the area, and actually taught Mr. Wright in middle school. I would just like to say, I have not looked over the traffic impact. I apologize for my ignorance on that regard, but I do want assurances that the council members and the planning commission have looked over it thoroughly, and they are satisfied. It's not just the traffic, as the earlier speaker stated. We want to make sure that this is progression, because as homeowners and as a businesswoman in this area, I don't want to see the homes I'm listing and selling be devalued because of this. I have concerns in general about Macon Road and the busyness of it, especially on our end, the east end. East side of the interstate. We're seeing a proliferation of, without disparaging anyone, vice-related businesses. That's the best way I can say it. Businesses that a lot of us, I don't think, frequent. I don't know where, you know, and I'm talking about liquor stores, and I'm not putting anyone down. I'm just saying I don't want to look like Victory Drive. I don't want Macon Road to become the second Victory Drive, where it takes a long time to revitalize it and bring it back. So as we move forward with plans like these, how does this fit in? What, are we bringing in more people? There are so many commercial businesses that sit empty on Macon Road. We need progression. That's all I want to speak toward. We need progression, and we need to make sure the environmental impact. Oh, that was the other thing. This is a Bull Creek watershed. So we just had a tree fall on a neighbor's house because the city can't do anything about the water. You know, when it gets rain soaked and it stays soaked, and it loosens these older mature trees, and it just fell on the neighbor's house. And, I mean, he was in bed and was awakened to a tree limb through his head. I mean, literally, this just happened after these recent rains. So this Bull Creek watershed is very delicate as far as routing the water. I know behind my house, the city's not able to manage it. We've been complaining. I've been a homeowner there for almost 30 years. I've been complaining and getting them out there and talking to them for 30 years about the flooding on our street and the impact of trees falling because the roots just can't hold. It's so saturated, the ground's so saturated. So I appreciate him reducing the number of homes, but is this infrastructure in place to handle it, both traffic and environmentally? Those are my concerns.
Thank you. Ma'am, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I thought we had a question for you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Does anybody else like to speak against this? Yes, sir. Come to the podium, please. State your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Donald Dunn. I live at 3417 Primrose Road, right down about halfway from where this is going to be. You know, when I moved there 32 years ago, there was not a Primrose Walk. They've torn all that out. Then you got Columbus State tore all that out and only using half of what they tore out for the golf deal they got. And you look on England, they just jammed houses in there, jammed them. And I'm afraid this is gonna be, they've already seen Primrose, where they can get in there and just, have homes all around, like cookie cutters all around. And the traffic on Macon Road coming into there is absurd. You get up there about 4:30 and have to take a left turn, and you're gonna be there a while. Because you cannot go unless it's completely clear, because it's coming over that hill on Macon Road. So, we just had a motorcycle accident out there. It killed a guy. And it's just gonna be more dangerous, because Primrose, traffic has quadrupled since I've been out there. I mean, you got people coming off Reese Road, Georgian Hills, Eglin, all the way down, and it's steady traffic most all day. I don't even know if they counted the cars and the traffic to even, think about doing this. And also, the road out there is just crumbling from the traffic, but it hadn't been paved in 30 years. So, Primrose was never made, you can go down that road, you'll see it's never been made for a lot of traffic or a big neighborhood. The neighborhoods are up on Rockdale, Better Cliff, and all up in that area. But you got people coming off University through there, and Primrose is it's a lot of traffic and it's a lot of speed.
Anybody have any questions? Yes, hold on. Yes, Mr. Baker.
This is a question for planning staff. What all were the comments from the engineering department as far as traffic concerns and all of that? Or I see the conditions list here.
Yes,
If you want to read that out. that
Yeah,
might be
those
good.
conditions are from the traffic impact study that was completed, and we are going to use those recommendations moving forward. This development doesn't go on to Macon Road, it goes on to Primrose, and Macon Road is a state road, so we can't consider any traffic lights without GDOT approval.
Is the city aware of any plans for a red light to be put at that intersection, Primrose and Macon Road, at any point in the future?
I would have to look into what has been requested with GDOT.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak against this request? All right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Mr. Wright, could you come back up to the podium, please?
Mr. Wright, one more time. Okay, these are townhomes, right? Townhouses?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay, is this a gated area?
it is.
Gonna be gated?
Yes, ma'am.
And can I ask you about price range?
Price range, it depends on the square footage. We're gonna try to keep it around 250,000.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Wright? All right, sir, I appreciate it. All right, would a commissioner like to make a motion? Yes, Mr. Baker.
I do want to make a motion for REZN 08230146, a request to rezone 14.80 acres of land located at 3160 Primrose Road. Current zoning is planned unit development, proposed zoning is residential office. I recommend that we approve this, as we did last meeting, based on the fact that it is consistent with existing land uses.
All right, can we get a second? Yes, ma'am. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you. Thank you. I guess y'all are still here. All righty, this brings us to our last and final case of the day, REZN 02-24-0346, request to rezone 115.56 acres of land located at 5201 Macon Road. Current zoning is single-family residential. Proposed zoning is planned unit development, PUD. Proposed use is residential, multifamily, and residential single-family. And Proterra Development is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 1. Could we hear from staff, please?
This property at 5201 Macon Road is 115 acres, and it is zoned SFR2 currently. The applicant is requesting to rezone to a PUD, and this revised PUD consists of single-family residential lots, 53 total, 183 townhomes, and 240 unit apartments in 10 buildings. Access is proposed from Macon Road, Donna Sioux, Saddle Ridge, and Wilmington. A traffic impact study was submitted for the original site plan. However, that has been revised, and the neighborhood commercial part of it was taken out, and the senior apartments were taken out. We do not have a revised traffic impact study, and that was requested on August 5th. We don't have that. The average annual daily trips would decrease, but I don't have any numbers or data for that. The school superintendent has planned for growth in this area and does not have any concerns. The buffer would meet the UDO requirements since they did not specify anything different. And that is going to be 50 in the front and then 100 on the side. 120 property owners were notified, and I've received over 200 or so calls or emails. There are 2 petitions in opposition to this with probably over 700 signatures on that. Definitely over 700, probably closer to maybe 900. The opposition was in reference to the original site plan, but I've spoken with these neighbors several times, and I don't think that the revised site plan has alleviated those concerns that they had originally. So they still are opposed to this kind of development. And this development would have to be reviewed by the River Valley Regional Commission because it is a development of regional impact. And DRI projects must be reviewed by this regional commission before it can be heard at council, but it can be heard at planning commission without that review. The DRI has not been submitted for review, so it cannot move forward from planning commission until that is in place.
Any questions for staff from commissioners? All right, would the applicant?
I do.
Yes, sir.
The staff report says that average daily trips will decrease?
They took out the, not from currently, from their first site plan.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, so all the access will still be on these streets that you named?
Yes, that did not change with the new site plan. There are some concerns from engineering regarding that and maybe having Donna Sioux as just a fire-only road, but we don't have the new traffic impact study to look at yet.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any comments from the previous traffic study?
We have the numbers and the data, but it's different now that it's been changed.
Any other questions for staff? All righty. Would the applicant please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and give us an overview of your request?
Good morning, council members. My name is Carlos Arenas. I'm with Proterra Development, and appreciate the time. And I would like to, basically, this has been a great effort in everybody's part, the neighborhood and ours, to come to this site plan that we are presenting today. As explained by staff, we did a reduction of about 36% of the density that was proposed originally on this site plan. The revised traffic study was ordered, but it hasn't arrived yet. If you look at the site plan, what you see to the east is basically what borders up the property neighbors that are probably going to speak today. And that's consistent with what they have currently. Is mostly, or everything is single-family home, either detached or attached. The density on the multifamily is proposed farther away from them, and everything that is buffering the property, the proposed property to the property is anywhere in between 50 and 100 feet from the single family. And the multifamily is buffered by the wet zones that are in the property. If you look at it, it's mostly half of it is wet zones, so we cannot develop those. And the access, which was one of the biggest concerns for the community, for the multifamily, it was left right accessing by the main street, which is Macon Road. And we're required to have a secondary access to the property by fire, and that is something staff mentioned that might be something that secondary access that is proposed that goes through the neighborhood, just about 1 block of Macon Road, will be proposed probably as only emergency access. I don't know, do you guys have any questions?
Any questions from Commissioner? Yes, Mr. Baker.
How do you govern that something is emergency access only?
We've done that before. Usually, it can be proposed with a gate, or for the fire department, they have something called a Knox box, and you just gate it. The people living in the apartment side won't have exit or egress or ingress to the property from that access. So the main access is through Macon Road, and if that goes as proposed with the fire department will be only, the reason they do two access when you pass 200 units is because if something happens to that access, they want to have means of ingress and egress to that property. So it will only be accessible by fire trucks in the case of an emergency, but we've done that before. It's proposed to means of control access control.
Okay. I have two questions. What is your address? You didn't ever give us that.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Again, my name is Carlos Arenas. I'm one of the principals of Proterra Development. Our address is 1355 Terminal Road in Marietta, Georgia. And we do this type of developments throughout the state, and right now we're doing also in Tennessee. And this basically, that's our what we like to do, mixed-use developments.
Okay. All right. And why are you coming to Columbus with this development, and tell me what your target market is?
Well, we've been doing this in the Tri-County area of Atlanta, DeKalb County, Fulton County, and Cobb County for the past 12, 15 years. And we have seen that there is a growth, exponential growth in the surrounding cities from the city of Atlanta, being Atlanta now as busy as it is. And we have expanded to Augusta and Columbus in this scenario. And our target is to have property owners on those everything from the starter homes. The smaller homes will be probably in the 200,000s, and the much bigger homes in the single-family lots will be anywhere in between 350 to 380,000. And of course, the rental units will be a separate market.
What's your target market on the rental units?
The rental units, we believe by the market study, they're going to be anywhere between 1,100 and 1,600 for the larger units.
Okay. Are they market rate, or are they going to be Section 8?
They'll most likely probably be market rent, and we don't see a market here for what you say, not Section 8 definitely, but what you're asking is if it's going to be tax credit units, and we don't see a market for that in this community.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Thomas.
Have you ever built in Columbus before?
What?
Have you ever built in Columbus before?
In Columbus?
Yeah, this is Columbus.
I'm sorry, if I ever built in Columbus
You said you're
before.
from Marietta, right?
Yes.
Okay, have you ever did any work in Columbus before?
No. This will be our first
Your first.
Columbus project, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Stallings.
Just for clarification, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Are you saying with the new development, the new site plan, that there is, the only entrance into the development is on Macon Road with the exception of an emergency fire entrance? Or are there still multiple entrances into the development?
No, okay, to explain that, the access to the single-family attached and detached are connected to the existing neighborhood. And I'm guessing that when this was planned years back, the original neighborhood that, we're bordering to, it's got, those roads are dead-end roads, and there was a plan to connect those roads. But the access to the multifamily will be only through Macon Road. Just the single family and the single family attached will be through the existing neighborhood, because it's just border up there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, any other questions? Yes. For the applicant? You want? All right.
I have
Yes, Mr. Baker.
Are the documents that we're looking at in the combined staff report from the updated version?
Yes, that's the new site plan.
All right, thank you.
And I may have made that confusing. All the other access roads would still be as proposed, with the exception possibly of Donoso being just emergency only. And that's not a definite, that was just a comment that was considered.
Thank you. Is there any other questions for the applicant? All righty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak for this request? All right. Yes, you can take that. Yes, sir. All right. Before we get started on how many people are against this request. Let me ask you a question. If you're against this, raise your hand. Okay. Morgan, do we have a list of people you said that wanted to speak?
Yes, one of the neighbors, Karen Gaskins, organized
Okay.
a list, but anyone can speak.
Okay. All right. Anybody against? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. Yes, I'm that Karen Gaskins. It is a privilege to come before you and speak with you about this proposed development. I happen to live at 4540 Sears Road, and I've been there for 23 years. We've raised our kids there, and now I get to enjoy those golden years of retirement. Currently serving as our Neighborhood Association president, I represent 272 homes and families that live in Sears Woods. I'm before you today asking you not to recommend the rezoning of 5201 Macon Road from an SFR2 to a PUD. And there are numerous reasons why that you're going to hear mentioned today. During this entire process, I have continued to ask the question, so how does this rezoning affect Sears Woods? What is the positive for the 8 subdivisions that will encompass this area? And even with a revised plan, I am unable to come up with one positive for any of our neighborhoods. Last January, I began receiving calls from Sears Woods residents inquiring into the signs that had been placed about the rezoning. Upon learning of the development, some of the residents came forward and we were able to put together this huge petition. Of course, word passed quickly through all 8 subdivisions, and representatives came forward from most of the subdivisions, and after it was all said and done, we had 714 signatures obtained asking that the rezoning remain the same, single-family residence 2, with its 272 houses, had 285 signatures. We have 272 houses in Sears Woods, but I was able to, with the help of these folks out here, obtain 285 signatures just in Sears Woods, so every one of our houses is represented. Today, there are residents here from Sears Woods, Wintry, Farmington, Shenandoah, Chatham Woods, Willow Bend Run, Sheridan Forest, and our latest subdivision, our new brothers, Sears Pond. You will hear from some of their leads discussing the negative impact and life-changing effect if this is allowed to be changed. One issue you're going to hear about is traffic, which another representative from Sears Wood will be discussing in detail. But as one who lives on Sears Road, we could spend today talking about stories that I have of taking out trees, cement mailboxes being crashed into. One vehicle was totaled because it was parked on Sears Road in front of one of our residents' homes. And even our cement gutter was busted up. So we already have existing traffic issues on Sears Road. Another issue that I heard the lady from Primrose talk about was the flooding. We have those same issues. We have historically had several lots that have been flooded due to wetlands. I live in the wetlands. Personally, our pool has caved in and had to be rebuilt. We have dealt with 3 sinkholes. This area has 3 running streams through it. You can see that on the chart in front of you. In front of you. And it doesn't take another study to know when you take out vegetation and trees, what's going to happen? More flooding occurs, and we do not need a developer to exasperate it. Recently, a new subdivision, Sears Pond, was built next to Sears Woods. The developer built what the area was zoned for, single-family residence 2. And I don't think you heard a peep out of anyone from Sears Woods, because we did not oppose it, because the development and the zoning was not changed. Zoning laws do not exist to promote wealth for the developer at the expense of 8 surrounding neighborhoods. They exist to make sure that what is proposed is compatible with what already exists and is fair to the existing residents. In conclusion, Sears Woods is so much more than just a subdivision. We are doing life together. Soon after the recent storm, I sent out a blast on our Facebook page just checking on our people. Residents were checking on our elderly people to make sure everyone was okay. We also had a very large tree that came down, large limbs that fell on houses. But we do life together, as I have said. If this is not stopped, life as we know it will be impacted negatively and changed forever. I respectfully ask that you please support the 714 residents, which all of them could not be allowed in here today, by keeping the zoning as it is to SFR2. And now you will hear the other leads from subdivisions wanting to express their thoughts. Thank you.
Yes, will the next speaker come up and state your name and address for the record?
Sorry. Good morning. I thank you for your service to the community. I've been on unpaid boards before. Thank you very much. My name is Wes Ezell. I have lived at 4526 Sears Road for the past 29 years after coming to Columbus. I am here today to ask you to not recommend the rezoning of the property at 5201 Macon Road, adjacent to the Sears Woods neighborhood in the Farmington neighborhood, from SFR2 to PUD for these reasons: fit, character, and traffic safety. I am representing Sears Woods, but much of what I say applies to all the affected neighborhoods. Residents of these neighborhoods had made it clear, just like Karen said, that they're against the rezoning of this property. They've done it through petitions, phone calls, meetings, correspondence with the PAC and the planning department and the city council. This PUD is not a fit with the existing single-family neighborhoods in the area. When I first saw the signs that were posted about the rezoning request, I wondered a couple of things after being in Sears Woods for 29 years. Why would the property be developed after all these years when the understanding across our neighborhood is that it would never be developed because of wetlands? And why is it being developed as a PUD instead of SFR2 like the rest of the surrounding neighborhoods? When I read the ordinances, it appeared that PUD zoning relies heavily upon multifamily and attached townhome units to increase density. It also offers the developer more flexibility to change design elements. It can include any kind of residence for sale or rent other than mobile homes. The current plan has 53 two-story homes, 188 townhomes, and 240 apartments in 10 three-story buildings. That's a total of 481 units. Compare that to the 272 single-family homes in Sears Woods. It has the potential of being 1.75 times the number of housing units that are in Sears Woods in what appears to be, not sure, a smaller area. So the development will have more housing units and more population than what is found in surrounding neighborhoods. It's not a good fit with the surrounding single-family home neighborhoods because of the density and population. Now, character. Let me tell you about the character of Sears Woods. As you drive east on Macon Road, it's easily recognized by the flag, the American flag at the entrance. Sears Woods historically has maintained a character of a great place to live and raise a family. There's a general feeling of safety and security. We have a mixture of baby boomers, Gen Xers, Gen Ys, and millennials. We have traditionally been a racially and ethnically diverse neighborhood. Residents maintain their property. We have wide streets and a paved path directly into Cooper Creek Park. We smile and wave to each other because we know each other by name or recognize others' cars, which usually display the neighborhood symbol, the pineapple. We have a neighborhood association, a Facebook page, and practice good neighborhood watch principles. We host an annual night out for law enforcement and have ice cream and watermelon socials in our cul-de-sacs. When we talk to new homeowners, they mention these things as some of the reasons they chose to buy a house in Sears Woods. In fact, we have had several examples of second-generation residents as well as returning previous residents. Sears Woods is an integral part of the lives of its residents, and its residents are an integral part of the Sears Woods neighborhood. Now let's look at the PUD development. When I look at Proterra's proposed development plan, I immediately see high population density. The proposed project could result in an area population increase of approximately 1,200 people. I see a very small buffer separating the proposed development from the surrounding neighborhoods. By the way, there are 39 homes that are adjacent to the property, 21 Sears Woods homes and 18 Farmington homes. And those homes on the site plan that you see in front of me, in front of you, are detailed. The 21 Sears Woods homes are detailed in the bright orange, and the other homes in Farmington are in green, I believe. Yes. They will directly have impact from this development. I see 3.5 more attached townhomes than detached two-story single-family homes. I see many multifamily units, 240 multifamily units and 10 three-story apartment buildings account for 50% of the total units on the plan. It has the character of a large number of people living in a large number of buildings in a small space. Traffic safety is our prime concern. Like most of our effective neighborhoods, Sears Woods has no sidewalks. A large number of residents walk, run, push strollers, or wait for school buses on our streets. Right now, folks living along Macon Road, and I heard this mentioned earlier, have trouble making a left turn out of their neighborhood. If this development is approved, there is no doubt there'd be more through traffic in our neighborhoods, more traffic on Macon Road, and more traffic on Reese Road. The high population density of the proposed project requires multiple entrances. Connecting with our neighborhood streets may help solve that problem for the developer, but it creates problems for the Shenandoah folks, the Sears Woods folks, and the Farmington folks. There are 3 site entrances from Macon Road. All of them are within a mile of each other. You could go through Saddle Ridge Drive in Farmington. You could go Sears Road to Donna Sue Drive in Sears Woods. Or you could go the new entrance that's across the street from Chatham Woods, but it only serves the 10 apartment buildings. The Shenandoah neighborhood becomes a 4th entrance off of Reese Road to connect to Donna Sue in Sears Woods. The resulting increase in population and subsequent traffic will play havoc in our neighborhoods with the potential of an estimated 1,200 people and 842 cars and trucks traveling our neighborhood streets, as well as Macon Road and Reese Road. For traffic safety, we've got more traffic, more trips, and maybe more increased safety risk. It is my opinion that changing the existing SFR2 zoning of this property to PUD and opening up existing streets in Sears Woods and Farmington to the proposed Proterra development could result in an intentional, willful property devaluation of homes in the affected single-family neighborhoods. So again, I ask this commission to not recommend the rezoning of the property at 5201 Macon Road, adjacent to the Sears Woods neighborhood and the Farmington neighborhood, from SFR2 to PUD. And thank you for your time, your service to the community.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Gregory Foster. I live at 5446 Chatham Woods Court. I am the president of the Chatham Woods Neighborhood Association. I represent the 161 homes that make up the Chatham Woods subdivision. We are located on the east side of Macon Road. In fact, the entrance to Chatham Woods would be almost directly across the street from one of the entrances to the planned unit development, or PUD, if 5201 Macon Road is rezoned for that purpose. So you can see why my neighbors and I have such a vested interest in the proposed rezoning. And it is because of the seriousness of this proposal that I took a closer look at PUDs and the impact they had on existing communities where PUDs were built. Now, please allow me a moment to present my summarized bona fides so that you have the opportunity to appropriately gauge the veracity of my findings. I completed my doctorate studies, and I have a lot of experience in obtaining and evaluating scientifically collected and peer-reviewed data. I found that PUDs work well in urban environments, particularly those inner-city communities suffering from urban decay. As you all know, this is the process by which a previously functioning community within a city falls into disrepair due to neglect or the lack of financial support. Commissioners, Chatham Woods is not an urban environment. In fact, we are a quintessential suburban subdivision. So how would a PUD built directly across the street from Chatham Woods impact our community? Severely is the answer to that question, and I will tell you why. PUDs grow. According to the National Association of Realtors, PUDs fall into one of 3 categories. From the smallest to the largest, they are residential PUDs that primarily consist of various types of housing, from single-unit families from single units to apartment buildings. Mixed-use PUDs that combine residential, commercial, and other properties, such as office space, within a single development. Planned communities, which are large-scale PUDs that cover 2,500 to 10,000 acres and may be considered small cities unto themselves. The risk that PUDs present to any adjacent community is in their design. They are intentionally constructed to easily accommodate add-ons. And it is the addition of more and more structures that allow PUDs to become an ever-expanding project. PUD developers may achieve this end by using a process known as suburban infill. They look to develop land in existing suburban areas that was left vacant or is underused. In the study, Infill Architecture, Design Approaches, the researchers explained that infill housing is the insertion of additional housing units into an already approved subdivision or neighborhood. They can be provided as additional units built on the same lot by dividing existing homes into multiple family units, or by creating new residential lots by further subdivision or lot line adjustments. Regarding our stretch of Macon Road, much of the underdeveloped or underused privately owned property, like the parcel of land that sits between the Chatham Woods and Willow Bend subdivisions, may be sold much in the same manner that the 5201 lot is being sold. Except now, the same developer or a different corporation will have a successful blueprint for how to get land rezoned in our area. Then, the developer would be free to build rental units, commercial properties, or retail businesses, all of whose mere presence would inherently augment the original PUD and facilitate its continued expansion. I conclude that it is more likely than not, and greater than a 50% chance, that if 5201 Macon Road is rezoned to allow the development of a PUD, all of the surrounding subdivisions like Chatham Woods will cease to exist as we know them today. It is for this reason that on behalf of my friends and neighbors residing in Chatham Woods, that I respectfully, very respectfully, request that you recommend against rezoning 5201 Macon Road. Thank you.
Could you state your name and address for the record, sir?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's George Mabry. I live at 4831 Yosemite Drive in Shenandoah Forest. And let me tell you a little bit about Shenandoah Forest. There's 106 individually built homes, no two are alike, that have been built from the mid-60s into the 70s. It is bounded by Reese Road to the west, the Mormon Church to the north, along with the wooded area of Cooper Creek Park, and to the west is Sears Woods. To the south is Sears Woods and Reese Road Leadership Academy Elementary School. That composes everything within that is Shenandoah Forest. The mass majority of Shenandoah Forest residents have told me they are absolutely opposed to the PUD. And the main reason is traffic. Traffic coming out of Sears Woods, Windtree, and Farmington use Shenandoah Forest or Shenandoah Drive and Yosemite Drive as a cut-through to get to Reese Road. Reese Road is the artery to get to Gentian Corners and Manchester Expressway. It is the artery. Currently, all those folks come through. And let me just show you How many of you out here cut through this? There's my point.
That's pretty cool.
And I didn't stage this, I just assumed. And I do too. I cut through Sears Woods to get to Macon Road to go to Publix. That is a lot of traffic. There are stop signs, and for most people, not most people, but for some people, it's only a suggestion. So the traffic on Shenandoah Drive and Yosemite Drive is pretty intense right now. With the addition of all those apartments and housing, it will be a safety nightmare. Traffic, it cannot stand that kind of traffic. Those roads were meant for residential roads. And all that dumping on Reese Road will make Reese Road unbearable. Other thing that really concerns me besides the safety, because we have the same kind of people walking, running, pushing strollers. We have an elementary school that backs right up to our neighborhood. And we have children, believe it or not, that walk to school. And in the winter, they walk to school in the dark. There are no school signs, and we're right there. And in the dark, the elementary school kids will run across the roads during rush hour. And with this massive increase of traffic through our neighborhood, it will be a disaster just waiting to happen. And there will also be wrecks, and we already have those, but there will be more. So on behalf of the Shenandoah Forest neighborhood, we vehemently oppose the PUD. We are absolutely in favor of keeping single-family dwellings in that zoning area. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm your next speaker, but I want to show something. George, okay, walk across the way. I want you to get appreciation of 25 feet. 25 feet. Okay, got it? Thanks, George. My name's Brian Newman. I live at 5351 Pine Needle Drive in Windtree Subdivision. I've been asked to speak for them and have the opportunity also to represent some of the people in Sears Pond, as their representative was not able to attend. I've lived at 5351 Pine Needle Drive for 37 years. Prior to my deployment to Germany as a soldier in '84, I lived on Reese Road. So the point is, from the very early '80s till now, I've had an opportunity to watch that entire area grow, and it continues to grow. Macon Road is a major hub, and when they four-laned it, 10, 12 years ago, that was a good thing for everybody. But what we're looking at right now is a problem with the PUD rezoning of the 5201. It will not affect us in Windtree because we're sandwiched between Sears Woods and Farmington with the dramatic effects that it would those other communities. But what we anticipate is, other than the traffic and whoever moves into the community having to associate with them, bring them into our community, and I'm not talking disparaging against anyone who might potentially move into that area. But the whole time that I've lived over there since the early '80s, as we've already discussed, single-family dwellings, we are not opposed to developing 5201. Build like crazy. Single-family units, period. We don't need apartment buildings. If apartments are needed, go to Woodruff Farm Road and Macon Road. There's 30-plus acres on one side of the road. There's 58 acres on the other side of the road. Those are already zoned commercial and multifamily dwelling properties. So there's no need to get a change in zoning. That's already there. Go for it. One of the things that we are looking at also is what we're looking, the proposal there is a modification to the original proposal that was put out. If we've changed it now, what's to say that it doesn't get changed later, because the building is going to take multiple years to come into fruition. So it could be altogether different than what we have right now. So that more to think about. The people who own that property now want to sell it to Proterra. Proterra wants to buy it. Proterra wants to come from Atlanta with all their equipment and all their people and all their materials, and they want to build here in Columbus. But as soon as they finish that, they're going to sell it to a management company. So whatever they've promised us at this point doesn't mean cowboy boots for later on, because that may completely change. The 200-unit, four-story apartment that was taken out of there that was supposed to be a senior citizens center, has gone away. So that saved 200 units, but what's to say that that doesn't come back at a later time or something similar to that? The commercial enterprise, which was there in the original development plan, has gone away. But what's not to say that that doesn't come back with the number of people and the number of apartments that come into that unit. So for those reasons and the reasons that other people have already stated much more eloquently than I, we are opposed to the development as it currently exists. Single family, third of an acre, fourth of an acre, whatever, nice places, bring them up. The reason that I measured that for you to see visually is I bought my home and I've taken care of it for 37 years. Each one of you have bought your home and have taken care of it. And right outside the back door of Farmington and many of the homes in Sears Woods, as indicated on the map, they've offered a 25-foot buffer zone from new construction. That's not very much room after you've lived there and spent all your money to build a home, possibly to retire in and stay there for the rest. So as soon as we start encroaching onto the property that we own and into the area that we own, then that's going to diminish the value of the properties that currently face the proposed development. So for those reasons and many more, we request that you deny the request for PUD rezoning of 5201 Macon Road. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Keith Parker. I live at 4229 Westfield Drive in Farmington subdivision. And ladies and gentlemen, I should be last. We thank you for your time this morning. We thank you for your service to our community. Three things I'd like to say. Who are we? If you are my neighbor in Farmington, would you please stand up? If you're my neighbor in any other neighborhood, would you please stand up? Ladies and gentlemen, I would invite you to stand as well. We are all neighbors. We are a community of people who has been expressed, are passionate about our homes. Please don't take anything that's been said this morning as anger toward the developer or the person selling the property. But we are passionate in our opposition. Why are we here? Asking you to simply deny this rezoning. from SR2, SFR2 to PUD. The reasons are numerous. The reasons are valid. There was an article in the paper where Mr. Arenas was quoted as saying they had listened to our meeting that we had back in March and responded. I would propose that they listened, but they did not hear us. If they had heard us, they would understand. We are opposed to the rezoning. So what are we asking you to do? Deny that. Send that recommendation to City Council so that they will know that our voices have been heard. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. We're your neighbors. You can't live in our neighborhood at the moment, but you might one day. You can put yourselves as our neighbors in our shoes and see our perspective and actually hear us. Thank you very much for your service and your time.
Yeah, is that the end of the speakers? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. All righty. Well, would a commissioner like to make a motion? Yes, Mr. King.
Yeah, I'll be glad to make a motion. Regarding case number REZN 0224-0346, request to rezone 115.56 acres of land located at 5201 Macon Road. Current zoning is single-family residential 2, SFR2. Proposed zoning is planned unit development PUD. I make a recommendation that we deny this, and it is based on the fact it is not compatible with the comprehensive plan in the future, and I think it needs to remain SFR2.
Second that. Thank you. All right, all in denial, raise your right hand. Denial, agree with this motion? In favor of denial? All right. All right. And you approve it? Yes, ma'am. All righty. All right, any other business amongst commissioners before we adjourn? Would the commissioner like to make a motion to adjourn?
Well, do we have any meetings coming up? So that'd be in September? Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, second for the adjournment, all right. All in favor, raise your right hand. We're adjourned.